You valid.
This summer may have been one of the most emotionally triggering summers I think I've ever had in my entire life. And I was telling one of my close friends, I didn't give myself time to cry about it. I didn't give myself any time to cry. As much as I went through this summer, I didn't give myself any time to cry about it because I felt like I wasn't able to properly express those emotions. And I'm currently trying to work through that now because those things still bother me. So I think I'm slowly learning how to express my black boy joy. I'm slowly learning how to express my black boy sadness and all emotions in between.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think until recently, um, I've been really good at showing affection and wearing my heart on my sleeve and having sort of these emotional conversations and discourse with people. Um, but that was something that I never really engaged in when I was younger, um, just because a lot of interactions with other black boys consist of, you're either playing sports and yelling at each other, or, you're roasting each other. You're never talking about like, hey man, like I saw you were a little sad the other day, me as your friend, tell me what's going on. That conversation, if that happened, I'll give my life savings to whoever that happened to. But I know with all my experiences and the people that I know, when you were younger within the community of black folk, those kind of conversations with other black boys never happen. Which, the whole roasting and all that stuff is kind of to a fault. It's very, very surface level, getting deep and sort of opening up to people was just non-existent for me, at least. So, yeah.
You feel as though your ability to have certain conversations or talk about certain things was limited growing up in your environment?
Definitely. I think just especially when it comes to being around my boys, it's like, or especially being around older men, where it's like we talking about women in a certain type of way, and it's just like, me, I come from a home where it's me, my sister, and my mom, so I'm just living around women, and it's like I learn how to respect women and just, and then it's like when they talk about women a certain type of way, for like, a long period of time, just continuous, it's just like, alright, like we get it, but at times it's like, for me to fit in, I restrain myself from saying anything, because then you just be the oddball if you do.
Yeah, somewhat. I feel like people are kind of like familiar with who I am, so I'm like pretty comfortable with myself for the most part. But I feel like there kind of is a pressure to be like this big like tough guy that like nothing really phases him, like in everything you do, even if you're having like a tough day. Kind of like what Marcellus was getting at. Like I don't feel like people most of the time want to be hearing like, oh man, like I don't know, I've just been kind of down lately. Like I rarely, if ever, hear that coming out of people's mouths. But I know for a fact, like I have some down days sometimes. But I think I kind of do, feel that pressure to keep it to myself sometimes. So on an emotional aspect, yeah, I would think that there is a little bit of pressure to kind of phase that out and just pretend to be the tough, strong guy all the time around my other black friends. So
I know for me, when I was younger, I didn't really hear my father or any type of male figure in my life ever say that they loved me. My father didn't start saying he loved me until my later years of high school or until I entered college. So I guess but I know like black males, they don't really give that that sense of love or like saying that they love a certain individual because they don't want to express their emotions or their feelings because that's looked upon as weak. I totally disagree with that. I think if I would have heard that a lot more when I was younger, my mindset would have been a little bit more different, I would have been more open and one with my feelings, not really caring, and then just expressing my emotions without really any type of judgment.
I think one of my boys is from back home. I say back home, we're still in Worcester. He was having a really tough time because his girl went to school across the country. He was having a really, really rough summer, and I remember he was leaving, and because he goes to school in New York, but she goes to school in California, and he was leaving, and I was like, all right, man, you got it, you know, I believe in you. Everything's gonna be fine. Everything's gonna work out. Like, you and her will be fine. You got it. And he was just like, well, what are you telling me that for? You know what I mean? He was just kind of like, why are you saying that to me? Like, he's kind of just, he got really defensive. You know what I mean? Like, it was almost like...
He didn't want the positive affirmation.
Exactly. And he felt like I didn't have the right to tell him that. You know what I mean? I would have felt like, had that been anyone else, he would have listened, but I feel like in that moment where he was at his most vulnerable, he still had to put this wall up to show that, oh, no, I'm not with that soft. You know what I mean? Like, he's just trying to maintain his image and the fact that he doesn't want to be perceived as even being slightly vulnerable.
I feel like, yeah, it's like a thing we gotta always watch what you say. Like, always gotta watch what you say. But like, I'm not gonna go around saying I love you out of nowhere. But like, if they did something to me that's provoking that me saying that, then yeah, I would say it. But I just think that's just me personally. I think it's just weird. It doesn't come up to somebody and be like, yo, I love you, bro. But like,
oh, no, definitely not like random.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
not
randomly.
not randomly, yeah. But like, yeah, like my best friend since like first grade, that I'm still friends with now. Like, he's Guyanese and Trinidadian, and that bond, that I really think that will never break. Like, we have the same goals, like we have the same background, like we just vibe together. And I was really lucky to meet some friends that aren't Caribbean, that are straight like just Black American. That like I would say like, yeah, like those are my brothers. Like, I love them that I met in high school, and like they would turn around and say the same thing to me. Like, you know, we do stuff for each other. So I'm really lucky. I just feel like it's like who you meet, and like the environment you put yourself in. Like, if you surround yourself with, you know, with certain people, then, you know, you obviously gonna get that outcome of, I'm not gonna, you know, I can't say this to that person because they're gonna treat me a certain way or something. But like, I feel like that's taught in our community. Like, that's what we see, so we like build upon that and stuff. Like, you know.
I guess start even before that. My first relationship with a Black man, with my father. So I say my mom is my superwoman, my dad is my Superman. My dad and my grandfather were my first heroes. They were the first examples of men that I ever got to witness. And growing up, until I really understood the dynamics of their relationship, the dynamics of my father's relationship with my mother, that's when I started to see that, like, my dad wasn't perfect, but he was phenomenal to me growing up. When I tell you that my dad, like, he might not have been able to talk to me about my feelings as much as he probably wanted to, but he damn tried. Like, he tried. Like, he didn't have a father, and so my dad did everything possible to make sure that I felt comfortable trying to express myself to him. He would try, and like, he wasn't good at it himself, so like, and that's the thing, you know? Like, you could tell, like, for me growing up, you could tell that my dad wanted to be like that kind of father figure in my life, where like I was able to tell him everything and express everything to him, but like, he didn't know how. He didn't know how to make me feel comfortable. He didn't know how to kind of turn off his hardness and toughness.
It's funny, actually, because the way I was raised, the way my father raised me, my father is actually, when he comes to talking about family and people he cares about, he becomes very emotional, which is something that, growing up, I was surprised about, because I wouldn't see him cry any other times besides those times when it came to talking about people he cared about, or someone he cared about in general. And I felt like in society I had always seen, especially for Black men, that it was never okay to cry, and it was never okay to be emotional, and all that stuff. But I guess learning from my father, I learned. I guess he didn't try to teach me this. What's the word I'm looking for?
Consciously?
Yeah, he didn't consciously try to teach this to me, but it's something that I picked up as I was growing up, and that's something that I learned. I learned it's okay to be emotional or be in your feelings or whatever, and it's okay to be in touch with that side of yourself, because if you neglect that side of yourself, you're neglecting a part of yourself, and so while you do that, you don't really feel whole and connected with yourself if you neglect that part.